It's time for another episode of Monday Movie Pickup. I think I got a Blu-ray from every exclusive Blu-ray creator out there. I got the Shout Factory, the Criterion, the Arrow. So let's try to get through the normal stuff first. Actually, a lot of Warner Brothers stuff. The American President. This is actually going to be a Patreon request. I had never seen the movie before, but to my surprise, it was actually directed by Rob Reiner, which I didn't realize, I guess. I don't know much about his career past the 80s, but he is a great director. It's funny, I talked about that in the Princess Bride review, that he's a great director in a lot of movies people don't realize he was also the director of, and this is a movie I hadn't even heard of. So I did watch it. It was okay. Not as great as some of his other work, but you will see more of that in the review. I also got Scoob. The only reason is because I'm currently doing the Warner Animation Group films, so I am going to have to do Scoob eventually. It's actually going to probably be the final one of those requests. I think Tom and Jerry is going to come out by then, though, and same with Space Jam, so there might be some other ones as well, but I had to get Scoob because I know it will be coming eventually. And I didn't really like this movie. I did watch it when it was on HBO Max, and it's not great. It's not even really a Scooby-Doo movie, but hey, I'll do that review someday, and I'll have to watch it again. Great. No, I'm sounding very cynical about it, but honestly, it's not a great movie. That's not any less cynical. I have the producers here. So I have the Mel Brooks collection, which has almost every one of his films. But it doesn't have the producers in it, and it also doesn't have Dracula Dead and Loving It, which I believe still only has a DVD release. I'd like to get it. I'd like to see that movie. But I've never seen the original producers. And this was a Shout Factory release. I believe this is going out of print. So I made sure to get my hands on it, and I'm excited to finally give it a watch. I've always heard great things about it. I've heard great things about the musical. I haven't heard amazing things about the musical adaptation, the movie from 2005, but once again, I'd like to check them all out. And what a better way to start out than with the original producers. So certainly going to be giving that a watch. But I also got from Shout Factory I Bury the Living, which is a movie I actually reviewed for Conquering 200 Films. It is a public domain film, so why did I take the time to buy the Shout Factory edition? Because I like the movie that much. It's still one of my favorite movies that I've watched in that box set. I think the best one I've seen is actually The Stranger. Scarlet Street's very good as well. I think those also have more exclusive releases. I think The Stranger has a Kino release. I'm not sure about Scarlet Street, but I do know that I Bury the Living, which is also one of Stephen King's favorite movies, weirdly enough. If you actually watch it, it's very Stephen King-esque, very Twilight-esque. Twilight Zone-esque, not Twilight, the 2008 vampire movie. No, Twilight Zone-esque. It's a great movie. And I have never seen it in high-quality Blu-ray picture. So I'm excited to get it just because of that. I have The Game. So I have a couple David Fincher films. This is one of the David Fincher films I've never seen. This is also one of the David Fincher films that hit the Criterion collection. And I've been skipping over it for years, but I'm getting to the point now with the Criterion sets at the Barnes & Noble sale where, unless they're new releases, I don't really have a reason to keep growing my Criterion collection beyond the movies I already knew about and the movies that are, very notable. Now we're getting to the point where a lot of the movies are a little more obscure, or they're movies I haven't necessarily heard of or seen, and I'll keep buying them, but now I'm not really at the point where I need to buy all these Criterions, but I wanted to finish my David Fincher collection, so I had to get The Game. I'm excited to watch it. I know nothing about it, and I'm not going to read about it because I just want to go into it clean and see what it's all about. But speaking of going to the Barnes & Noble Criterion Collection sale to get new releases, that's why I had to get Parasite. I did not get this movie on Blu-ray when it originally was released because I had heard that Criterion was going to be doing a release for Parasite, and so I just waited to buy that. This comes with the black and white version as well, some new special features that weren't on the original Blu-ray release, and Parasite was one of the best movies of 2019. I didn't say it was my number one movie of that year, but I feel like over time it's certainly going to become the one I remember the most, the one I'll be going back to the most. It probably will be the best movie of 2019 for me, and it's probably one of the best movies of that whole decade. It's kind of funny that this came out at like the end of 2019, and it ended up being everyone's favorite movie of that entire decade. It had just a few days before the decade was over, and Parasite comes in to say we are the best of the decade. It is a great movie. If you haven't seen it already, I certainly recommend it, of course. And if I can get this movie out of here, I will say that the packaging has it pretty tight in there. It's oh geez, this is actually really difficult to get out. So besides that, it's a great release, and I'm excited to give it a watch again. And I'm gonna be watching the black and white version because I've had issues in the past with black and white versions because I wasn't a big fan of the black and chrome version of Fury Road, but I really like the black and white version of Logan. So the black and white version of Parasite might be amazing. I have the Marx Brothers collection here, which has Duck Soup, the one that I really wanted to watch, but it also has all these other great Marx Brothers films that I've heard so many good things about. They're considered comedic geniuses. This was the Universal set that was released. I believe this was released in 2012, actually. So it's a bit of an older set at this point. Yeah, I don't even know if I can find the date of when this set was made exactly in here. 2016, actually. So it was a little bit later. But I'm really excited to kind of dig into these Marx Brothers films finally. I've never seen any of them. I might be a bit blasphemous to say, but yeah, I have never seen Duck Soup, which a lot of people say is considered one of the greatest comedies ever made. So I've gotten into Abbott and Costello. I've gotten a little bit into Laurel and Hardy, and I've gotten a lot into Charlie Chaplin. So the Marx Brothers is something I need to get into next. If there's other comedic icons of the time that I really need to check out, let me know in the comments. The Air Bud collection, which I didn't really have a purpose to get all these movies because the only one that was requested was Air Bud, but I could have gotten this Air Bud DVD for like $15. There wasn't a cheaper version of it online, or I could get it with these other two movies, Golden Receiver and World Pup. And then it was cheaper because this all costs less than $15. So I don't think the movies were released in this order either. I don't know anything about Air Bud. But it was a request on Patreon, so I was like, why not? I'll just buy this set, and then over time, maybe I'll get the other movies. I know that there was one where he played, the soccer one is in here, and the football one's in here, but I know that was there a volleyball one? Was there a golf one? I don't know. I know that the Air Buddies movies came out after. I actually know a little more about the Air Buddies films because I remember seeing the trailers for them so often between the years of 2006 to 2010, so I might actually know the order of those movies a little better. I don't know much about Air Bud. I know that there's a company named after Air Bud now that is making other movies that have nothing to do with Air Bud or Air Buddies. It's actually just completely different movies like a monkey. Air Bud, the review will be coming. Ain't no rule says a dog can't play. I know that quote. Alright, and then last but not least, I do have Mallrats here. Mallrats, the Arrow version. This is the 25th anniversary edition Blu-ray, which I have already watched a lot of special features on. This is actually a 2-disc set that has the extended cut and the TV version of the movie. The TV version that doesn't have Jason Mewes' voice. He was dubbed in by somebody else, weirdly enough. So I'd like to check out the others. Mallrats isn't a movie that I love. I'm not a part of the cult fan base that this movie has gotten over time, but it's still a Kevin Smith feature. I love his movies, and I have the other Mallrats Blu-ray release, but, I saw this Arrow set. He hasn't had many special releases for his movies in the past. There was a Chasing Amy release on DVD through the Criterion Collection, which I own also, but his other movies have usually just gotten the release from the original companies, and some of them are out print like Dogma, which I happily was able to get at one point. So it's cool that they did something for Mallrats. I'd love to see them do something for Clerks. Honestly, I think Clerks deserves to be on Criterion Collection, but beyond that, it'd be kind of cool to see his other work get released by Arrow or by Shout. I mean, they certainly deserve it, and some of those movies are out of print like Dogma certainly need another release, and I would love to buy them because some of them have gotten good special features, but not all of them. And Mallrats was one that there certainly needed to be somewhat better special features to kind of there was a 10th anniversary release that looked at it a little more seriously, but I like this edition a lot more. There's a lot more interesting special features on here. There's even one where they just talk to people from Minnesota who worked on the film, which was really interesting. Being from Minnesota, I thought it was cool to actually hear the Minnesota voices about it. And there was some new stuff from Kevin Smith, so enjoyed this set a lot. And if you're a Mallrats fan, if you're a Kevin Smith fan, I definitely recommend it. That was everything this week, and thanks for watching, everybody, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching the video, and special shout out to Anthony, Anna, Kirsten, Lucas, Ryan, and Robert for the support on Patreon. By joining my Patreon, you can get exclusive videos and blogs, and for only $7, you can request your own movie review. I hope you stick around, cinephile, and have a happy, productive day.